on the other side of things, say like, I don't know, maybe a more exciting sport, in my opinion, to handle and watch from time to time is the Chicago Bears. And when they get going, it's kind of the kid in me just kind of emerges because
when they almost have a top 5.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Pick.
I don't really care if the Bears are going to be terrible the year before, going into the season. I'm always super optimistic, and I'm like I'm just always screaming at the TV. The football is one of those only sports where every single play I'm like, what are you doing?
I'm the same way.
I'm sitting there like throwing my remote control up against the wall.
But it's red zone and fantasy.
Oh, it's the best. That stuff's the best. But the Bears, unlike the Bulls, have a certain top pick upcoming in the draft, and there's a lot of routes that they can go, especially since, in my opinion, and I'm sure you have the same, even though you're a nasty Vikings fan, the Bears have had a pretty solid free agency period so far.
Are we talking about the Chicago Bears or the Chicago Broncos?
Are you kidding me? Because that is absolutely true. But I mean, at the
Chicago Broncos. That's what you're getting. That's what you're putting together in Chicago.
I found it laughable as one of the most recent signings that the Bears made in free agency was a former Broncos return man on top of a former Broncos offensive lineman on top of a former Broncos inside linebacker, Danny Trevathan, who's really good. So hey, they have these linebackers that came in. Trevathan and who was I forget, the Colts middle linebacker, whatever. They have this linebacking core now that's solid, much better than Shea McClellan, John Anderson, Christian Jones. So they did a great job addressing that. They did a great job of addressing the offensive line depth and brought in Bobby Massey, big time right tackle, allows you to move Kyle Long back to his natural guard position. That's awesome. But then that means you can shift your focus primarily to maybe the defensive side in the draft, because that part of the draft is loaded.
Or stay on the offensive side.
You could, but and what I'm trying to say is like that all the moves that were made allows them to do anything. Like they could draft the best player available, whether it's defensive, offensive, that's fine. But I'm just really excited about.
I mean, the thing I'm bringing up is there had been a certain tweet by a certain Ian Rappaport, and at first when you see this, it's kind of like you think, well, okay, like there's that one guy who has the greatest fake Ian Rappaport Twitter account, to where at first I saw it and I was like, okay, is this real? Are we getting punked? I saw the little check mark, so we're all good.
Oh, there you go.
Here's what it says. Bears drafted a first-round wide receiver last year and are doing their homework on another. Baylor's Corey Coleman visited Wednesday. He heads to Bengals now. Is there a chance that the Bears take another wide receiver in the first round this year at 11?
I wouldn't dismiss it. And we had this conversation before that if they do it, it's because of their their lack of faith in Alshon Jeffrey and possibly Kevin White. And I mean, you can never have enough depth in the receiving core. Especially what we saw last year when Marcus Wilson was always hurt. Eddie Royal barely played. Kevin White didn't take a snap in his first season, so you had guys like Mark Mariani as your slot. So I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest to see the Bears choose.
But isn't that a reach?
Receiver.
Isn't that a reach taking Coleman at 11?
I would,
unless the Bears want to trade down.
Well, yeah. I think they had this Wilkinson in mind to trade down and acquire him, but I feel like there's just so much of a need, and that 11th pick is so valuable. You can really grab an impact defensive player.
Well, I mean, exactly. The Patriots don't have their pick to trade down.
Right, because, that whole Deflategate nonsense. So
don't bring that up to Sean, by the way, but like maybe the Bears are trying to take a page out of the Dark Ones book in Bill Belichick, where it's like, fuck it, let's just trade down.
I mean, whatever they do, I think is just going to benefit them.
Especially if like Goff and Lynch are still on the board, and there's a team like the Rams that want to trade up for it, pick. Or like I mean, we're talking about on the onside kick. We mentioned how teams like San Francisco want to trade up for the 1 to maybe jump Cleveland for a quarterback.
Right.
Maybe the Bears, if Goff and Lynch are around at 11, they go, hey, you know what? Why don't we try to trade back? I mean, a defensive player would be nice, but we like this kid, Corey Coleman.
If you
and they
trade
could
down
trade back
too,
to get Coleman.
and I mean there are players that might be available later in the draft, like Eli Apple, because like there's positions of need that would be available for the Bears later in the late picks, so they could double up on the value they get in the first round, and they have 9 picks this year. So that's something. And if you, I think I forgot how many in the top 100. I think it's like 4 or something. It's really that they have a lot of flexibility. And if you count Kevin White, that's like 2 first-round draft picks. So it's like, what do you want to do? But at the 11th pick, a guy I really want DeForest Buckner, but he's not. He will all. Everything's saying that he's not going to be available. And another name that I saw that I thought was interesting. Ezekiel Elliott was going 11.
The running back at OSU.
And a lot of people compared him to Eddie Lacy and the Alabama running back. Who
I think that, and here's the way I'm talking about Zeke now. I think Zeke has the possibility, and I'm not saying like same runner as this, I'm saying has the possibility to be the next best thing at the running back position since AP. Like, he can come in year 1 and have that same kind of a pop season that AP had his first year.
The Bears, even though that they're a 3-headed running back monster, Ja'Kys Rodgers.
No, you don't take Zeke if you're the Bears.
No, it don't. It doesn't fit, but at the same time, it's like best player available, and he's there on the board, might as well. But I think there's too much of a need on the defensive side that you have to go that route. And a name that I'm looking at now, Shaq Lawson. He's this hybrid defensive end, outside linebacker. I think he could play in a 3-4 system. At Clemson, he was very athletic, versatile. He gets to the quarterback, and that's what the Bears need. He's also good in coverage. So those things are what the Bears were lacking big time last year. And you just need athleticism, football instincts. You lack that. And if everything goes to plan, they hit on some draft picks, Bears playoff team.
See, now there's one thing that I'm looking at is the Bears at 11. I mean, we were talking wide receivers. I'm looking at Mel Kiper's mock draft, and he's got, to me, it's a shock because to me, I think this kid's a top 10 pick easily in Vernon Hargreaves.
Oh, yeah. Oh, if he falls, get his ass immediately. Hargreaves,
you would take him at 11.
Absolutely. He can match up against your other team's best wide receiver. He's a playmaker, athletic.
I love him. I
do too. You absolutely grab him.
For a while for me, he was even ranked above Jalen Ramsey. But I mean, Jalen Ramsey now it's like you look at him and it's like he is the true to me number 1 pick in the draft.
I'm a big believer in Hargreaves.
Here's the thing though, and I'll throw it out to you because you're the Bears fan. I'm the Vikings fan. Would you rather have Hargreaves at 11 and then something else at 41? I think is that your second round pick? 41, 42 around like that area.
43.
Would you rather have Hargreaves and then find something else, or maybe go with a Leonard Floyd, who's an outside linebacker? I still wouldn't take Corey Coleman that high, but somebody else, and then a guy like Kendall Fuller that maybe at that 41, 42 can play cornerback. I know coming back from that ACL is his question, but he could be a steal in the second round.
I think I'd be satisfied with that scenario if they got and I know he's hurt, and I know he's probably going to miss the entire season, but Jalen Smith from Notre Dame, one of the top players in this draft.
The guy who's just falling because he had the did not check out medically at the combine.
Right. And who's the UCLA linebacker? Miles Jack. If Miles Jack is there and the Bears opt to take him,
he is rising on. Kiper has him 5 to the Jags.
He's insane. That guy is super talented. So if he's there at 11, I know he's going to miss a large portion of the season. But, I mean, you take that hit because you have depth in the linebacker position. Then all of a sudden, once he's healthy, it's like, whoa, this core is pretty scary. Mosh is in the midway. It's coming back.
Now, can I throw something out there that's kind of going to be...
just to end that thought, if Hargreaves is at 11...
You take him?
Get him.
I'm going to throw out something, and you're going to want to punch me for this because of... I know that there's somebody on the Bears that this will affect that you love dearly. What if the Bears at 11 say, fuck it, Goff or Lynch is on the board, we're going to go with Paxton Lynch at 11?
Well, first of all, that probably won't happen because of the value of those two players. But if that goes down, then then suddenly Jay Cutler's going to be on his way out of Chicago. Because it's not by his own doing either. It's going to be by the outside pressure of the dumbass fans who are like, Cutler's the worst quarterback the Bears have had. He sucks. You can't win with them. Bring in this new guy. That alone is going to be enough for Cutler's confidence to just plummet, right? He's not. Anytime he goes into a game, throws more than one interception, all these fans are going to be calling for the backup quarterback. So does that do good for your franchise? Now, if the Bears were going to draft a quarterback, they should in this draft, in my opinion. They should, to have someone develop under Cutler. But if you're going to spend an 11th overall pick on a top quarterback, I think there's just too many positions of need on defense to go that route.
The way I see it is, and the reason I bring it up was when I was listening to the radio today, they mentioned it, and would I be opposed to it? No, because I hate Jay Cutler, and I am one of those guys, Rankin, that you guys aren't going to win with Jay Cutler.
I bet you. Okay, this is obviously
hypothetical. You guys are not going to win a Super Bowl with Jay Cutler.
But if Jay Cutler was the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, they would have a Super Bowl.
They would not.
Right now.
They would not.
They would.
They would not, because Jay Cutler would go to an NFC Championship game, get injured.
Here we go. Here we go.
He would ride the bike all second
He
half.
couldn't have any. He couldn't put pressure on his knee. He couldn't do anything.
Oh, I'm just saying he got injured.
Well, how are you supposed to control that?
Well, I mean, people blame people for getting injured all the time.
Watch Cutler emerge over these next few seasons with talented groups around him, intelligent head coaches, intelligent offensive coordinators.
It's not gonna. When has it happened thus far?
Because look at the past. I am a big time Cutler defender, if you can tell.
I know, that's why I'm egging you on.
You see the offensive.
You might not want to invite me on in future podcasts.
This is the last time, I'll tell you that. Offensive coordinators: Mike Martz, Mike Tice, who had a preschool playbook, Ron Turner.
Oh well, Mike Tice I know all too well.
Well, he's garbage.
He was your offensive line coach?
Coordinator.
Okay, he was your coordinator.
No,
he was my head coach.
He was a head coach when the Vikings had Dante Culpepper and Randy Moss.
He was my head coach.
I was a fan of the Vikings back in the day. I liked them. But then Mike Tice became the Bears offensive coordinator. I was like, are you serious? And that was paired with, I think, was that with Trestman?
No.
Oh, that was with Lovie Smith. That's right. Oh, those brutal years. Oh, I couldn't do it.
That was Tice versus Smith.
I couldn't do it. But yeah, no, we don't have to get into that. All I'm saying is Cutler can lead this team to a championship if they have the talent and personnel around him, which they will in the next few years. And you'll all see.
I don't see it.
Cutler's going to be good enough. You'll see.
Maybe
talented.
Playoffs, but I just don't see. I don't see them making the Super Bowl or winning the Super Bowl with Jay Cutler as the starter. And
agree to disagree.
The thing about, and this goes more into and before I bring that up, I just was looking up the biggest thing that pissed me off about Mike Tice being my Vikings head coach is I loved Dennis Green, and he was the head coach that came right after
they are who he thought they were.
Dennis Green. Hey, Dennis Green was a great coach when he was with the Vikings. But when you look at the quarterbacks that I wanted to mention,
right,
and a reason why, I brought that up to mess with you about Jay Cutler, but now I'm going to tell you why the Bears shouldn't draft a quarterback at 11. And if it's me, if somebody really wants Lynch at 11, you do what you would do for how we talked about trading back. I mean, Connor Cook, if he's there at 41, you take Connor Cook. Christian Hackenberg, to me, CBS has him projected around 2, 3. Mm-hmm. I lean more towards the 3.
If he's there in the third round, get him.
I'm not sold on Hackenberg. Cardell, I'm not sold on.
You don't like Cardale Jones?
I don't.
He's athletic.
I don't think. Yeah, but I don't think he's going to. I don't think he's going to have the head on his shoulders that he would need to be successful in the NFL. Dak Prescott, to me, this is going over no basis of stats or comparison. Sure. I think he's going to have a similar career as Colin Kaepernick. He may come out, get drafted to a team where he can be the backup and then kind of flash in the pan, has a great season. and then just fizzles out. Just like that.
Could absolutely happen.
The guy I really love is the guy out of Western Kentucky, and Brandon Daughtry. He's the guy I love.
There's a lot of good things written about him, too.
And he's a guy that 5th, 6th round.
Absolutely.
You could come in, even a guy like Jeff Driscoll, who you can get in the 7th. These aren't guys that come in and change the franchise right away. But I'm saying these are guys that you can look at. Yeah. And if the Bears go ahead and draft, let's say like a Daughtry at 5, or even like a Driscoll at 7, that's a quarterback move where Jay Cutler doesn't feel any pressure.
That's a very good point and very well put. I think the Daughtry point, you nailed it.
I love him.
I think you nailed it. In the 5th round, he's available, absolutely. It just makes too much sense for the Bears to take him.
I love him. Unless you're going to try to trade for Garoppolo, but Garoppolo's, he ain't going anywhere.
Right, but that the Patriots love there. But, the Bears, because of their offseason, are in this position where they can do so many things, and because of the amount of draft picks they have, there's at least legitimate reason to believe that they could put together a pretty solid draft this year, especially with Ryan Pace hitting on so many last year.
The NFC North could be the best division.
It's going to be competitive.
It could be the best division in football with only, I'll say best division in football. And the reason why is the Packers are coming back to strength with Jordy Nelson.
Yeah.
You have my Vikings
coming off free agent, by the way,
coming
Jared
off
Cook.
the divisional win
the last day of the
from
season.
last year and riding the momentum. Zimmer's got the boys playing well. He's built that defense. Now we just need to get Teddy a fucking wide receiver to throw the ball to, along with Steph and Diggs.
I think as long as Teddy Bridgewater is the Vikings quarterback, I think the Bears have a leg up on him. That's just me.
I don't think so.
If the Bears are as good as I think they will be in 2016, I'm not really afraid of the Vikings.
You ready to crown their asses?
The Bears?
Yeah. You ready to crown their asses?
I could, but I got to wait until after this draft.
Or are they who we think they are? But yeah, the Bears.
Realistically, though,
the Bears, I do think are going to be better than they were last year, and it's going to be, to me, the two divisions to watch are going to be the NFC North and the AFC South. Because
Jaguars, baby.
I will look at that division. It's similar to the NFC, where the Colts are kind of like Green Bay. They're getting their giant back. They're getting Andrew Luck, who Coach Pagano came out, I believe, today and said that Andrew Luck needs to quit playing the quarterback position like a linebacker, which I say, Pagano, get the fuck off your high horse. Andrew Luck, the reason why I love the guy so much is he'll take it, he'll run the ball,
but he's always getting hurt.
He'll run the ball, take a hit, and then get up and compliment you. Hey, man, that was a good hit.
He's a good hit, man. He's a great guy, great football player.
They're like the Packers, getting back the injured star that they're blaming their last season on. You have the Texans, who won the division, got better with Brock the Cock as their quarterback. They're kind of like the Vikings in this sense. And then you've got the Jacksonville Jaguars, who could be like the Bears, making some moves, going to make some more additions at the draft. And they're like the Bears. They're that wild card team. And then you got the Titans and Lions, who nobody expects them to do well, but they'll be there.
You look at the NFC, though, and you look at the competition, it's like the NFC East was a wildfire last year. I mean, you had the Dallas Cowboys with 4 wins in December, and they were still in it, and they were up against the Giants, Eagles, Redskins.
The NFC East has turned into what the NFC West used to be.
Right. 9-7 won that division and got to host a home playoff game, which was, I don't know. That's a different conversation.
It's a little better than 7-9 still.
Yeah. But realistically, how many contenders are in that division? And then you go down to the NFC South, the Panthers are just going to be, the Rock in the NFC again. The Falcons kind of overachieved last year. The Saints, You never know with them. The Bucks, they're improving, but they just went over an overhaul.
A lot of question marks.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. You have these you're realistically in a competition with a handful of teams. Why not the Bears? They are. They could be in the middle of it.
I'm seriously thinking the AFC South and the NFC North are going to be the two divisions.
I look at it and I think even the Lions, even though they are Lionsy, it's going to be an interesting season.
It will.
That's all I'm saying.